It is 8th v 11th when the Western Bulldogs take on Richmond on Friday night, Jimmy. And what's given me great concern for the Western Bulldogs is their forward 50 or lack of pressure. So let's take a look at some of the vision here from the damning game where they had the Giants on the ropes. But first of all, there should be a Bulldogs player just charging up to not allow Whitfield to charge. So we let this one keep rolling along. And Adam Treloar, you can't overcommit like this. So once a player is through, all the Dogs want to just go back away from it. There's no frontal pressure, and once you break the first line and there's no pressure on the first line, you're in serious trouble, and that happened time and time again. Yeah,
turn into training drills, 2v1 drills here, and this is the pressure coming through, a bit of speed, a lot of walking going on here, no real urgency to get back, and I feel sorry for the likes of Taylor Duray and other defenders because they're retreating, they're not putting any pressure on the ball user, and you just allow forwards the opportunity to work you over ahead of the footy with all this space, as we see. That's Toby Green out here. This guy can play a little bit. Poor Taylor Duray and Rory Lobb back there. You got no chance against someone like Toby Green and Riccardi charging back to goal.
Yeah, we wanted to know it, show another one. So it just happened, and you see why the momentum swings. Like the Ashes past three players. And you'll see the player here, Bailey Williams, he doesn't know what to do, so he doesn't know to come up, to retreat, but it's all over. Finn Callaghan.
Finn Callaghan has 3 touches in this play, but just keeps moving forward. There's no real intent from the Bulldogs to get over and help out, so just jogging behind, and this is what hurts you in the end, just work rate. And off the back of that, Lloydie, I mentioned Toby Green having space, and I feel sorry for the likes of defenders. This will be Dustin Martin on the weekend when you play the Tigers. You've just got to actually take away good players and their opportunities. I know everyone wants to play team defence. Dre's having to roll up here because there's no pressure on the ball, so he has to come up and help out, and you leave dangerous players with this amount of space, they just cut you apart. He has to come up and help because no one's putting frontal pressure on Bedford, and again, the Giants just work their way back in the game. Here's an example here, no pressure on the kicker. Stephen May has to come up, and this will be Dustin Martin on the weekend.
So that's what the Dogs will be similar.
No pressure on the kicker. If the Dogs, and you allow them just to pick you apart. So that guy there, Dustin Martin, will rip the Dogs apart.
So this is what we're dealing with. So we've got 2 inconsistent sides, and then this was Richmond against Melbourne. So they've conceded 73 entries. So you lose every time with that. 20 marks inside 50 and 130 points. So that's not going to take you too far. So I just want to see with Andrew McQualter, Jimmy, we'll look to tighten up the defence because, you know, they hung in there for 3 quarters, but if you concede 73 entries, you're not going to go too far.
Now, who are you tipping in this one, Lloydie?
I'm going to be tipping Melbourne. Sorry, the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think the Dogs are going to bite back.
Yeah, Geelong v Port Adelaide, Jimmy, is going to be an absolute beauty. And the Fremantle Dockers got a hold of Geelong at the centre clearances. Not what they're renowned for, Geelong. You've always trusted them. Dangerfield overrunning the footy. And this was just one-way traffic after a period of time. And you just wonder, how does Frederick get out on his own from a stoppage like this? And you see how the numbers have dropped off. Let's go behind the goals. Mitch Duncan. How aggressive is this, and is this accountable football when you just let a player go off the back of a stoppage? So that's where things just aren't right at Geelong.
Yeah, this is Un-Geelong-like, as they like to say. They like to use their direct opponent as a starting point, and then you work from there. And that goes from stoppages, centre bounces, and even behind the footy. You don't give them the opportunity like Freo, but on the weekend it'll be Port Adelaide. This could be Zach Butters, this could be Rosie sitting forward, or any one dangerous players, Power Pepper, and they'll cut you apart.
So let's look at how they've dropped off a little bit in Port Adelaide. So they won 13 games in a row, and their tackle differential was 4th. That's dropped to 9th. And their obviously post-clearance differential 3rd to 10th. So they've dropped off significantly, and they're going to lose the 2nd spot on the ladder very, very quickly and go to 4th, and that makes it difficult to win a premiership.
Well, every time you heard Port Adelaide talking during this amazing winning run, the first thing they mentioned was pressure. What are they measuring? Kenny just wants us to pressure, get in the opposition's face and give our backs an opportunity. We highlighted before with the Dogs, it's the same with Port Adelaide, who are a good side. They just need pressure on the ball so the likes of Lear can come over and help out, or any key defender that's running out there this weekend.
Everyone talks about pressure and contest. It's just not there for Port Adelaide currently. So Jeremy Cameron, there's no Tom Hawkins, but you're not suggesting he goes to the goal scorer. He gets back to what he used to do.
Yeah, so when Jeremy Cameron had his first All-Australian way back in 2013, and also the way he started this year, it's this unbelievable athleticism that we've come accustomed to. It's getting up the ground and it's working his direct opponent over. So it's almost like he's going 70, 80 metres from goal, and he's using all the back space because he's an unbelievable runner and ball user, and asks a lot of questions for the opposition's key defence, because normally a key defender loves to just sit there, have his forward in front of him, defend the lead. But with Cameron, when he's in this sort of mood, he's almost impossible to stop because you've got to put someone who can run with him, but he can get you overhead as well. I'd love to see him start up really high, open up the back space and charge back forward and make it really difficult for Port Adelaide to defend.
Geelong or Port in Geelong?
Geelong in Geelong.
Yeah, I don't trust them, but I'm going to tip Geelong as well. The last one we'll look at is St Kilda v Carlton, and Carlton are brutal. They are a brutal midfield at the moment, Jimmy, and they took Collingwood to task.
I love this from Carlton. I thought they had the right attitude when they went into this game. They were physical, they weren't going to be pushed around, but they didn't go over the top. This is Patrick Cripps. I reckon Carlton early in the year, all their midfielders would have started off, gone through the motions. Cripps has identified the goalie is probably the most dangerous player, and so Cripps being a Brownlow medalist, I'm going to take his body, I'm going to be physical, but it doesn't stop me from winning the ball.
And we're going to look at who can take them on, who can do it. And I thought Crouch was sensational last week. I think he's in career best form. I know he's not a physical player. They've given Windhager an opportunity. So it's got to be difficult for them, but I thought they showed great signs against Hawthorn last week.
And I think they've got the capability to really open up the game and actually move the ball forward. And you did mention this guy here, but Wood can get on the outside as well, off the hard work of Steele and Crouch.
Yeah, and they kicked 9 goals in the first quarter, and it was fantastic to see. Unless they take the game on, they won't beat Carlton. They're in the top 6, St Kilda, so you have to keep giving them credit. And if they win this one, they'll seal a final spot.
And I love seeing this from St Kilda. They love having measured ball use, but that's measured and still asking a lot of questions. That was Cooper Sharman, who was actually up on James Sicily, who I think will have a very big role this week. Sharman, this is how he plays Sicily. And we've highlighted this in the last couple of weeks when you're playing the opposition's best defender who loves the intercept. It's almost going back shoulder, and it seems a bit unnatural as a forward, but it actually gives you an opportunity to come at the ball because they're just watching the ball, so they'll take you to it. But at worst case, at least you can get a spoil in. So Sharman, if he's playing on Wiedering, who was exceptional last week, he almost needs to play this the exact same way, Lloydie.
Yeah, Wiedering, you can't let him do what he does. Play Wiedering from behind. I think Ross did a fantastic job on Sicily. Do the same to Wiedering to give them a chance, and I'm backing the Blues to win another one.
Same.